Hello everyone, this is BBelDead and welcome to part 2 of texturing the D-7 Klingon cruiser in Blender. If you have not done so already, I'd recommend to go ahead and watch part 1 before jumping in, and if you have watched part 1, well then enjoy. Colors and stuff, but I want to go just a little bit deeper real quick, but still at the same time keeping it to where I could do the least amount of work possible. There are in this piece and this piece here some, these are supposed to be grills, so they're supposed, similar to this right here or this part right here or this part right here, but here I modeled these. But let's say for whatever reason I didn't feel like modeling grill textures into these, or I didn't want to, or I felt like I can get away with textures. We're going to go ahead and real quick add a texture onto those. So how to do that, we're going to select those. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my environmental lighting so we could see it. There we go. And now we go back into here. We're going to do the same thing. Create a brand new material slot and a brand new material. And this one I'm going to call grills. Now to get a texture onto this, so where it's not dependent on those, you need to go one more over into the texture tab, and just like with the materials, you need to go down here and tell it that you want a new texture. Unlike with the material, you already have the texture slots here, so all you do is just say, well, I just want a brand new material or a brand new texture. It's going to say, for me it's texture 3. Let's see, I already have some textures there, but this texture I want to give it a name. So I'm going to go ahead and name this grills. Now type image or movie, which we're going to be using an image. And I'm going to go over here to the image tab and I'm going to click on open. And here it opens up a browser. I'm going to try to find the texture that I have. I've downloaded this very simple grill texture off of the internet and applied it. And well, so far we're not seeing anything, and that is for two reasons. For one reason, which we're going to take care of right now, is that this material or this mesh is still assigned to this Klingon gray material, but I want it to go with this, and the easiest way to do it is just to go ahead and select Klingon gray and just hit this remove tab, and immediately it assigns this text or this mesh here the next material in the slot, so you don't have to go in and change it, and voila. However, as we can see, that's not the effect that we are wanting. Once again, we have options here that we can do. Right now it's using UV, and because this has no UV, good UV map put in, it's just all over the place. You can change the idea of other coordinates, but just for the sake of arguments, we're just going to go ahead and keep it into UV, and we're going to create a brand new UV map. So yes, we're going to have to do a little bit of work, but still not too much. I'm going to go back into, actually, we're going to go into a texture mode here. Actually, no, we'll go back to solid for right now. We're going to go into tab to edit, and over here I'm going to go into UV image editor. Now back into this, my 3D view, I'm going to press A to select all of these vertices. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to press U, and I have different options here. I'm going to go ahead, and because this is a very simple mesh, I'm going to go ahead and just say I want to unwrap. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and now it's not showing me anything here. And if I still go into texture mode, I should not be seeing anything. But to fix that from here, I'm going to go down to here, browse image to be linked. And I'm going to tell it that I want it to link to this grill texture. And now if we look over here, voila, we now have that texture. We can see it in our texture viewer. We can see it right here. And to line it up, I'm just going to select all of these vertices and rotate it. And as you can see, as I do changes here, I am seeing changes along here as well. And there we have the grills. Now, it's kind of, right there, it's okay. If I want to fix that, then what I can do here is, you see how these are going the way I want it, the way that the grills should probably work. But once we get up to here, not so much, I would have to say. They're kind of veering off. To fix that, what you can do is just select all of these, press scale, whoops, press scale Y0, and it scales that all up. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to keep it lazy. We'll just keep it like that. You can always go in and try to manipulate the UV layer to try to get the effect that you are wanting, that is desirable to you. But I'm going to go ahead and just keep it just like that. I'm not going to be too picky, and because I kept it on this side and with a mirror modifier, immediately apply it on that side. And once I'm happy with it, I can go through and apply that mirror modifier. And let's go back into our rendered, and there we go. We now have that grill texture in there, and it works. I like it. But let's say if I don't really quite like that color. Now you can, once again, have options. You can go back into your texture tab, and you can tell how you want that color to be affected by the additional material that you have. You have your material that was here, which is these colors here, and I'm going to go ahead and make this kind of a slightly darker gray. You can change, let's say I only want to use about 50% of that color that is inside that texture to kind of give it a darker look. Or if I'm wanting to not just mix it, but I'm wanting to add the two colors together or subtract the values of the colors together. And actually subtraction seems to work. I actually kind of like that right there. And I'm happy with that. So from there, we're good. We're happy. I think I like it. One other trick I'm going to go ahead and show you that you can go ahead and do with this is you can also, let's see if it works with this texture. I haven't tried it yet, is you can have it to where Blender will fake, 3D look using this texture. And that is by going down to geometry and telling it that you want to affect the normals. And it kind of works. I don't know if you can really kind of see it. This is probably not the best lighting. It kind of works, but it does kind of try to use this, uh, let's try it without the light, without ambient occlusion. It might be too dark. Kind of. Now, obviously, if you're looking at it on this flat edge, it's not going to, it's not going to show up. But I'll show you up I'll show it to you a little bit later. I know a better way on how I can get that effect to look. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that on to normal, and we'll revisit that here in just a few minutes. But let's go ahead and continue moving on. So I have that. Now I want to do the same thing to this model right here. Now to do that, I could somewhat do the same thing. Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to go back into here. We're going to, instead of Klingon Gray, instead of doing it the process to add, I'm going to go ahead and skip, and we're going to select down here, and I'm going to tell it, now let's just go ahead and assign it that grill texture. And it's the same thing. It's nothing showing up, mainly because we don't have any UV. It's set to UV. We don't have any UV information on this, so nothing's being set up. So if I go ahead and go into, oh, there it is. I forgot I didn't have a render. Okay, so it's set up, but the render is not good. We don't like it. So I can go ahead and go into edit mode again. Let's go out of this. Select all these. Do the same thing. UV. Go back out. Or go back into render mode. And, ooh, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. And this is the reason why. I'm going to show y'all this. In case y'all didn't know. In case this happens to be your first time, and let's go ahead and temporarily hide this. And this is because this is a box and Blender is trying to unfold this, but it can't because of the edges. So what we need to do is we need to create some cuts into this to where when it UV unwraps it, it can actually lay it out flat. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my edge select, and we're going to select some edges, and we go to Control E, and I want to mark those as a seam like so. And we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and see. You can see what our progress is by going to an unwrap again, and it's getting better, but it's still not quite accurate. It's still not quite there. We got this side. Wait, no, that side is not closed in. Still not quite accurate. It's not going to give us the result that we want to look at. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and select, whoops, not that, not you, Control E, mark seam, Control E, mark seam. Let's do this. Let's see, can I do a Q? Oh, no, I don't like that at all. Smart unwrap. We could do a smart unwrap. That would give us a look. Let's go ahead and just unwrap it. And let's go into our texture mode to see what it looks like. And all right, we're getting it to where this side looks good, but this side doesn't. So to fix that, let's select all of these faces here. And that will show us, oops, what we're wanting to see here. And let's go ahead and try rotating that first, and voila. There we go. I think we're happy with that. Let's go ahead and select these and rotate those as well. And let's scale it until we can get it to where these textures almost match up with the lines that we see over there. All right, let's go ahead and do an Alt-H so we can Alt-H so we can see everything. Go back into our render mode, and voila. It's still not perfect, but for the sake of time, this is just kind of just showing you, what it looks like. And I think I can live with that once again if we're looking at this from being a model that is just off in the background where you really can't, you're really not supposed to see it very well. So we have our grill textures, we have our colors all abound. So once again, we can go through and say, hey, look, we are done with it. But let's say I want to be able to maybe have light. I don't like this flat green here. I want to try to get a little bit of variance into it. And if you want some variance, then what we can go ahead and do is add an additional texture combined with this color here. And that concludes part 2. Please keep looking back or checking back and looking out for part 3, unless I've already released it. Then you should be seeing a link somewhere around the screen. Just click on that to go to the next part.